Welcome back. This is Fantastic Pains and How We Hide Them. I'm not Chris.
And I'm not Karina.
But we're here together.
As usual.
For more shenanigans and some... I'm excited for these conversations, actually.
Yeah.
We've got topics galore. It took us a while to figure it out, but we're there now.
Well, we normally base it off our experiences over the week.
Right.
And this is a good one. So.
Yeah. We kind of had to really think about the week because holy crap, it's only been a week.
Yeah.
But also it's been a week.
It's been a week.
It has been a week. Oh my God. If this is your very first time joining us, hello and welcome. This is our podcast where we talk about life with chronic illness.
Yeah.
Mental health issues and just many voices. We want to hear from all kinds of experiences far and wide. And our goal within that is to kind of help people feel a little less alone. So expose the suffering in the world so that we can all suffer together.
Exactly.
Fun times.
You can find us on YouTube. Audio, we do Spotify, we do most everything except Apple.
Never Apple.
So don't look for us on Apple. We have a TikTok account where we put all of our goofs, which is really good. And
we have a Discord server, which we absolutely adore, with wonderful, wonderful people who have been around for quite a while with us and are just kind and lovely and thoughtful and are happy to support however they can.
Mm-hmm. They're great.
So join our budding community. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Anything else? Have we missed anything?
No.
I think that's it. Cool. We did it. Look at us go. Sorry, we're like struggle bus today. It has been a week.
Yeah.
So diving in, I think that brings us to time for the weekly recap.
Check in.
Indeed. Oh man.
Who goes first? I had less week than you did.
Yes. So you go first because then we can draw connections because my week is full of nonsense.
Let's see. I just hung out with people online all week, really. Oh, I spent a lot of time with the kids. We found this game that we like. It's like a card game. It's called Slay the Spire.
I don't know that one.
It's cool. It's like the idea is that it's a random, like it's roguelike. So it's always different. And you choose what cards you want and like build little decks. And it's just fun.
Oh, fun.
Sophie's really into it and I love playing with her. So
yeah, that's different that they are like card game time.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of math in it that they have to do.
Nice.
So I'm like secretly keeping their skills sharp. They don't know it.
Right. There you go.
And
no regression.
Like reading and choosing the right cards that have specific abilities. It's fun.
Does your son read a lot? I know
Sophie does.
Sophie does.
Rory, yeah. I think he's trying harder now.
Yeah.
He had like issues with writing, like his handwriting isn't that great.
Oh, okay.
So he's practicing that. But he likes reading.
Good.
His vocabulary is off the roof. Like,
oh my God, I know. Like both of them always have been. It's like talking to 13-year-olds in like tiny little bodies.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. Played online with Austin and people all week. What else? It felt like there's something that happened this week for me, but I can't remember. Oh, I can talk about my little imposter-y moment.
Oh, yes.
Because, so I've been having like crazy anxiety.
Yes.
Not panic attacks, anxiety attacks, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is just annoying, like being super paranoid about things or like reading too much into things. Yeah. And I was watching TikTok and this poor girl was talking about how her shoulder was out and she couldn't set it. Like she would like put it in and it wouldn't stay in.
Oh no.
And I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, that's EDS all right. And then I look at my shoulders and I'm like, damn it.
You've had them repaired.
I know. And I've seen inside of them. I know that they're but like I'm like, I don't have EDS. What is this? I'm just faking.
Syndrome.
Which is why earlier I said when my rib came out and went back in, I was like, oh, okay, good.
I do in fact have EDS.
I still have EDS.
Still.
I just needed a visceral reminder.
Yes. No, I get that. It's
been a while since I've had like a bad dislocation or like I've had a lot of like slipping, but not all the way out and not painful as bad.
Right.
So I needed that.
Yeah.
That. Oof.
Well, you're also doing the Tylenol thing too, which I think helps with a lot of that.
And like the last 2 years, I've been a lot more mindful.
Yeah.
I'm not damaging myself nearly as much. Mm-hmm. I'm being way better about my movements and I'm resting more when I need to rest. And
which is good.
It's good, but I don't have the constant reminder of problem.
Right. It's like anytime you wake up and have a good day, you're like, I've been faking this entire time.
Yes, that hit me hard.
Yep, I understand.
Right in the anxiety too. Like I was like, everyone hates me. Everything's falling apart. I'm perfectly fine. It was weird.
Life is a nightmare. Oh no.
Yeah, but there's a med that I'm missing and have been missing, so we know how to fix it. And why I've been having weird panic attacks. Yeah. And I had that weird like body one I was telling you about.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like what day was that? Which
It was midweek.
You were like the day that everything happened. I was like,
every day was that day. I just remember that in the evening we were talking and you're like, oh boy, I had a day. And I was like, oh. Because literally, like, my body went into panic mode. Like, I was shaking, and I had, like, the adrenal drops, and, like... But there was no mental component. I wasn't freaked out. I was confused.
Yeah. But I don't know. And here's the thing, because it's really hard to, like... You want to contribute it to anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I get those, and usually I get it when the weather changes.
Yeah.
When the weather changes super severely... stuff starts happening. Mm-hmm. Like Summer now watches me and she's like, you're flushing on one side, be careful.
Nice.
Which I adore. Like I could not ask for a better friend. But she'll watch me and be like, okay, so you are like sweating, you're looking all clammy, your eyes are glossed over, you're shaking now, like
that was it. That was exactly it.
Yes. So it might have just been
the weather.
Massive pressure changes.
It could have been, yeah.
It was. You're starting to like display more movementy things too.
Oh, totally. Yeah. At least I'm more aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, like talking to you and being like, oh yeah, I guess that is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, we've been in it for how many years, and we're still like
discovering new things. You're like, oh, I thought that was like a normal thing. I don't
Interesting.
It's the ear stabbies.
Yeah, it was the day I cut my hair. I cut my hair, by the way. It's all short now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have pink. It's very sad. We'll fix that.
The pink will come back.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take my hair and dye it darker, but I don't know. Oh, yeah. But it's summer too, so I think you should do your pink and I'll do our blue.
Oh, that would be nice.
So we'll both have a stripe that we can do. And that'll be fun. I might cut it all off because I'm feeling reckless.
No, don't do that. Bad decisions.
Not all of it. Just like... I'm going to bring it way back up. I don't know.
Well, you're kind of working there. You had it cut recently.
Yeah.
So, like,
I was like, it's fine, but it's also bothering me a lot. Because it's not, I don't know. She layered it weird, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just uncomfortable in general. What else?
Oh, I had to do a lot of editing. Yeah. I had to re-edit Austin's episode like 5 times. Because I kept missing things. And then...
oh my God.
He messages me like an hour ago. He's like, you left something in. And I'm like, God damn it. What did I leave in? I swear to God.
The panic.
Oh, dude, it was real.
Yeah.
I was like, because I thought I left in the part where you guys were complimenting me endlessly. And I would have been real upset.
You took that out.
Yeah, I took that out.
You little bitch.
Well, there's a lot of dead air in there. I could make it a TikTok, probably. Probably.
There you go.
But I did it like 5 times. Had to re-upload it every time. Last night I had to do the last one.
Yeah, because it came out today.
Mm-hmm. But apparently I left in me checking the levels, which is fine.
Yeah.
I left it in on purpose because it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and our sound capture was weird. It captured it somehow, but not the way we thought it did.
It was weird in a good way.
Yeah.
I somehow captured his audio on my recording software that wasn't using his input. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was great.
So bizarre.
I'm happy. He comes through really clean and clear. Like,
yeah. I listened to part of it. I haven't finished it, but from what I've listened to, I really like it.
It's a bit
and
longer,
he likes it, which makes me happy.
Yeah.
I love when our guests are like, I can tolerate me.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yes, that's the goal, man.
Yeah. But yeah. That was my week.
Yeah. My week was like 2 months. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh. So yeah, it was week 2 of having guests in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And that got kind of crazy and a little bit tense. There was a lot of other stuff going on, like emotional upheaval wise. And then there was Sunday through Wednesday. I hadn't eaten anything. Anything. And then Thursday, I was like, I dry heaved for like 45 minutes and finally got something up. And it was like so small, so small. But literally like from Sunday through Wednesday, I couldn't even look at food.
Right.
It was just, it was a no-go. And so I vomited and then was like, I feel better. And then proceeded to gorge myself on anything I could get a hold of.
Oh my God.
So that was fun. I love gastroparesis with my forced fasts. That was...
Sherbert's not in the shot, by the way.
Nonsense. Poor Sherbert. There we go. Get in there. Beautiful. For those of you listening, our studio is just stuffed with stuffies.
Yes, it is.
And I love it. It's great. It's
just
cozy.
Imagine little two little what are they called? Mallows?
Mallows, yeah. I don't know. Squishmallows,
Squishmallows, yeah. We have two little ones named Greg and Sherbert.
Yep. And they're adorable.
Yeah.
Yep. So GI adventures, which just sucked all week long. Like, I was just so miserable, and I had like horrible stomach cramps. Just lots of stuff. It was not a good time, and I was already like running on fumes 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just kept going. It was terrible. Let's see. My week was it was a lot, so it's backtracking, trying to figure out what's going on.
You had work.
Yep. I worked through Thursday, and then we were done, which was great. Let's see. Friday, which was yesterday. I keep thinking I'm a day ahead too, which is not helpful. We had like family stuff, and I got to see my sister-in-law and my husband dance, which was a lot of fun, and they did a great job. They were very, very talented on the stage. Surgery stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was so bummed. Okay, so my left shoulder has been just super messed up to the point where, like, I know it's a surgery thing.
Right, it's the surgery pain.
Yes, because it's exactly how my right one was before I had it done.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I can't lay on this side because it hurts, and I can't lay on this side because gravity hurts.
Right. That's when you know it's bad, when it's just it pushing itself into the joint hurts.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like draping over, and then my collarbones were like popping out and in, and it was just awful. So my shoulder was out for days, and so I made an appointment for yesterday and then missed it. I slept through it because I suck.
Oh, I've done that. That is so disheartening.
So mad. And I was like, I've made it through 2 weeks of total upheaval, and this is the thing that makes me want to cry.
Well, you were so excited about it, too.
Yeah, because they got me in so quick.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I called, and I really thought I was going to need a new referral. Because after I emailed my doctor, they were like, you need to have an in-person appointment. And I was like, no. No. Because his first one is just like, it's like July.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not doing that. There's no way. I'm not doing that. I have so little summer. I have to make the most of it. And so I just called the hotline, and they were like, okay, let's see what we can do to get you scheduled. Was there an injury? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope. Here's what it is. I know what it is. I know I want to go to the surgery route. I do not want to be told to do PT or injections or any of it. We're going surgery. I would like to see a surgeon. And she was like, cool, got you. Slept through it, rescheduled. So that's next Monday.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah. So on the 13th.
Yeah. So like a week from Monday, right?
A week from Monday, yeah.
Okay.
So not horrible.
No, but
it was
not
just
optimum.
Disheartening. Mm-hmm. And then I have neurology on the 23rd, I think. Because the new weird pain, because I'd been talking about weird pain, right? I think is spasmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've gone through and like talked about it pulls on my collarbones, and it pulls all the way up into my skull and into my chest. It's horrible.
Yeah, and someone saw it, right? Like. Yeah,
so it was happening at work, and I was like, ugh, weird pain. And my coworker looks over and she goes, oh my God, I can see it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's got to be a spasm thing. which sucks because the spasms have just been crazy in general lately, which is not fun. The retrocollis is still like pretty smooth.
Just don't say it. Don't
I know, I'm
it.
like, knock on all the wood, but that part has not been horrendous lately.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that will not return. But so now I've got the neurology thing. I should see gastro just because that was a really bad episode of gastroparesis.
Yeah.
Where my stomach was just like, I'm not going to empty, but also there's food rotting in here.
Yeah. But that's one of those like priority, like shoulders going to impede your function daily. But,
well, and that's the thing, like one surgery per year until we're caught up, and then we'll have a rotation.
Yeah. I'm coming up on my rotation for my shoulders too.
Yeah.
Like they're starting to get bad.
Right. Well, and my right one's going to be needing it within the next like year or two.
I've gone a long time though. They said 5 years and I'm at 8.
Yes.
So
I think that's what they told me was 8 if you're really lucky. And so you got lucky about it. But you also had like really good surgeon who
oh yeah.
Like went back in to one of them, right?
Mm-hmm,
the right one?
Right one.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just time for surgery, which is a bummer. But and then you got to experience group with me. That was really interesting.
And that's going to be the topic really of today.
So kind of intro this with me. Help me out here. So when we were going through group, because I came over here to do it because it's virtual. And so you just sat and kind of listened and you took notes, right? Like you were scribbling stuff down.
Yeah, I was taking notes on my phone.
And then I took some notes, and really it was about like guilt and blame and responsibility and kind of being able to sort out what kind of responsibility it is or whose responsibility things are.
Yeah.
Like I probably need to look at my notes here. So you give your take while I get those.
My take. I can't really remember what my take was. I have to, like, once I see the notes, I'll remember.
Okay. So I actually didn't miss a week. I really thought I was going to because I had graduation.
Yeah.
But they canceled last week because there's something with insurance where they can't service if one of the providers is out of town because it has to be within Colorado.
Right.
So, let's see. So last week was canceled. So this week we got into it. And it was, it's levels of responsibility is what they called it.
Yeah.
And so it's like guilt, regret, grief, and sadness. And then for me, I'm an overachiever, I guess, in this group sometimes. And so I needed to know where shame was, and I needed to know where remorse was within that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the brief rundown, I guess.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out why people need to have a reason for it to be, like why they would feel like responsible or have to blame something.
Yes.
Like there has to be a cause. Like I'm cursed was
Right.
what she was dealing with. Like she felt like she was cursed.
Yes. That was one of the, and I think she's the one who's been having just a really hard time in general. And it's a lot of like, I don't know, kind of attributing other people's behaviors to, I don't know, like a punishment of self, right? Like,
I don't think she's being treated well by her family.
No.
But that's,
yeah. And that was that, like, but she wants to take it as maybe I was a bad mom.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe these people are not kind.
Right. Well, it's like you say, they're not doing it to you. They're just doing it.
Right. Well, and I found that that's kind of been the theme of the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Has been dealing a lot with people who, it's almost like they forget that other people have just as complex lives as we do.
Yeah.
And so our internalized, like, monologues and ideas and, stuck points, if you've been with us the last couple weeks, we've talked a lot about stuck points, which are those just like persistent things that we kind of tell ourselves. And
it's the one you always go back to.
Yeah. So it's like the self-talk, but streamlined.
Right. Well, it's kind of like a core belief that you need to kind of work on.
Yes. Core belief is probably closer
to
what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I just found it really interesting because, and it was terrible because the way we opened, they were like, check in about where you are with your like stuck point stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I've gone through a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks, but I don't think I've had like a belief or a story about them.
Yeah.
I mean, last night I was able to identify one just because stuff was happening, and I was like, I can't trust other people to meet my needs. And that is a big stuck point for me. But as long as I can identify it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's kind of irrational. Maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, after we found mine, I've been noticing, like, it is something I can work on now. It's nice to have this tangible idea that you can be like, okay, that.
Right.
And now I'm thinking that, but why am I thinking that? Like, it's
totally different, because it's really interesting, because I have a really hard time doing the sheets.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like doing the like, okay, what was the thing that happened? What was the thing I told myself? What was the feeling that went with it? Like, I don't do that because I don't have that thing with me all the time. I don't have that thing with me most of the time. And by thing, I mean like the worksheet.
Right.
But also, I do about things. I don't generally like ruminate about things.
Yeah.
Like
you acknowledge it in the moment.
Yes.
And then kind of move on.
Right. So as long as I can catch it while it's happening, I'm in a good place.
Right.
But it's hard too, because people are like, I'm horrible and no one loves me. Like, that's a big one for some of it. I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones were.
I missed the first half, so I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Oh no,
I was getting
my
coffee.
notes were not that good. But yeah, no, the same person was talking about like feeling cursed, and it was that like they don't do blank because they don't care enough to do blank.
Oh.
Or they don't care enough about me to do blank. And so it's attributing people's behavior directly to their feelings about you.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I understand, but I don't get it. Right?
I kind of get it. I mean, I think I can think of a time when that would have been true. Like,
yes.
That would have been one of my stuck points.
Yeah.
Being like, because with Jen, we've always had this problem where she would just not remember things. She has ADHD, right? She didn't know she had ADHD, and so I would always get frustrated with her that like stuff wasn't getting cleaned, or like the way she organizes things.
Yeah,
it's just her brain is scattered.
Yes, mine too.
So I was always taking that personally in the beginning. I'd be like, she doesn't care enough about me.
Oh yeah,
like,
you forgot because you don't care enough to remember.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I got over it, and then we found out she has ADHD.
Yeah.
And then now she functions. It's amazing.
Right? Now that she's being treated. Wow.
But yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That would have been one of mine a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, and I can see that like retrospectively.
Yeah.
But again, like once you, I don't know, I feel like there's like an awakening moment, right? Where you start to understand there's, I don't know, maybe it's definable for other people and maybe it's not.
Right.
But that moment where you understand that like your perspective on things isn't always reality.
Right.
Right. Or maybe you are skewed, but without judgment. Because if it comes with the judgment, then you are so tempted to be like, well, I'm crazy and I'm irrational, or people think I'm irrational. And so there's that like judgment piece that maybe we incorporate a little bit, but we use it to hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
And then there's the piece of, that was super weird.
What?
The temperature changed really quickly, and then my body was like, you're wet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not actually wet. Weird. As soon as it stopped, though, I was like, I've been swimming.
Yeah.
But if it comes without judgment, then it's like you're able to question your own thinking. And that's where you get into that like metacognition piece.
Yeah.
Where you can go, okay, here's the thought that I'm having or that I'm like tempted to feed into. Is it rational? No.
Right.
Like I can recognize it in the moment rather than like retroactively.
Yeah.
Like, what did I say to you yesterday?
A lot of things. You were so mean.
I know.
Just abusive.
I'm the worst. Stuck point. No one can be trusted to help me meet my needs. Therefore, I have to do it myself or let them go unmet. And then the other one was like, I'm never anybody's priority.
Oh, that was a big one too.
Yeah.
the word never.
Right. The language that goes around it.
Yeah.
So there's like what we're doing now. So we've worked on like the stuck points and identifying them and then questioning them a little bit.
Yeah.
But there is a new piece that goes along with the levels of responsibility that is challenging questions, right? So challenging the beliefs based on evidence. Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting how they put it in the group, because they were talking about presenting it as though you would to court of law.
Yes.
Right. So it had to be absolutely factual or absolutely backed up by evidence, factual evidence. And so it has these like, there's a list of things that you can run through. So one is it a habit or is it based in actual fact? So basically you're bringing in evidence for and against.
Yeah.
In what ways is your stuck point not including all information? So what are you omitting to feed that negative belief? Does your stuck point include all or none terms?
That, yeah.
And that would be that like never. Should, always. And this is where I like to bring it back to like, because I firmly believe we don't live in should.
Right.
We could should away our entire lives, but we don't live in should, and there's no point.
No. We had a big deal with the kids for a while. We don't do shoulds or what ifs. We don't live in that.
We are in is and are.
Right.
That's what it is. The next one was, in what way is your stuck point focused on just one piece of the story? So again, like that omission.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? Is it a reliable source? That question I found really interesting, because that I think is where you can identify like, who was it who was saying like, whose voice is that?
Oh yeah.
What conversation was that?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's gonna bother me.
Right? I'm gonna have to think about it.
But yeah, like
whose voice
who's asking that? Right.
Right. So, and is it a reliable source? So is that something that you've adopted that your abusive ex used to say?
Right.
Is he a reliable source on you and your personality and your like blah, blah, blah? Are you confusing possible for likely? Is it based on feeling or is it based on fact? And then focused on unrelated parts of the story or a narrow lens. Yeah. So they gave a couple different examples, and not all of them make a whole lot of sense to me. But what was one that? One was like, like my brother was killed in a car accident, and it was my fault because I didn't make him wear his seatbelt. Right. So as they were walking through it, it was like, is it a habit? Or is it an actual fact? Like, is it your fault that he died in that car accident?
And then there was also an unnecessary sentence too, that we were laughing and smiling before, like, because they kept bringing that up, like focusing like, on. Oh,
I didn't make him wear his seatbelt because we were busy like laughing and having a good time. Yeah, yeah. And then like the leaving stuff out, the police officer told you that no matter whether or not he was wearing it, that driver would have killed him anyway. Yeah. End of story.
And then ignoring that piece.
Right, exactly. Leaving it out so that it is your fault. Mm-hmm. But it is just such an interesting concept to me to like have to have fault. Right. Like it just seems so futile.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I get that. Like I'm the same way. I don't need a reason for everything.
Right. Right. Like stuff happens and people do terrible things. Exactly. That's just the way life is.
Yeah, but I think that has a lot to do with our condition. Like it's chronic in that it's constant, but it's not the same. It's not like we have a trauma.
Right, exactly.
That's like causing the pain or
so. Because I got grilled in the first little bit of it because they were like, okay, so what was your like impact statement? And I was like, this is so hard for me because like, why do I think I'm in pain? I was born. Right. I don't know. Like genetics. There's no reason or another, or like, there's no one to blame.
Right. See that? I think that shapes the way we handle things though, is that we've accepted that we just have EDS.
Right. Well, and then the PTSD part is so fascinating also because it's complex PTSD.
Right.
Which means that we don't have a comparison for normal.
Right.
And that's exactly that same way. Like, that was the opener. That was when I got grilled, where I was like, with my trauma, there's no one to blame. Well, there is. Like, somebody is responsible for what happened. But is it useful to blame them? No.
No.
Does it matter? No.
Right.
Like, but it's also not my fault.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it was not my fault that those things were done to me.
Mm-hmm.
Other people acted and I was impacted.
Right.
So there's no like blame around that for me, at least.
Yeah.
It took a while.
I was going to say, like right after though, how did you feel? Did you have any of that?
That was the problem. Yeah.
Right.
Because that stuck point.
Yeah.
It doesn't ring true anymore, but it definitely did. Like, that was a huge thing in my world, was that I was the problem. And I was the problem everywhere I went. And no matter who I was with or what it was, like, I was always the problem. And that was the story that I kept feeding myself and like watering and tending to. Like, that core belief that I like fostered was that I was the problem, because I guess it is hard to like conceptualize that other people do shitty things. And maybe it's not related to you at all. But I think also like part of it for me comes from like having that sped lens.
Yeah.
Where like,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fascinating to be able to see things more broadly now.
Yeah.
And then like reflecting on, I don't know, even 5, 6, 7 years ago, and how different it would have been had we like had the opportunity for this kind of like group therapy, right?
Yeah.
It would have been totally different. It would have been different pre EMDR even.
Oh yeah.
Like,
definitely.
All of those things have, but I mean, and it's not that we're better at this than other people. It's that we've,
I
don't know. I guess we're like honey badgers. We want to pick at it until we understand it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the podcast is what we do.
Yeah.
Like we've always done this.
Right.
And we don't care. It's not like there's things that we don't talk about. You know what I mean? We're like, let's dive into it.
Like, they're like avoidance. And I'm like, nope. There is none. Like, I want to talk about it and make sure that it actually happened.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a lot of that. We have to confirm that things are the way I think they went.
Right.
Like, did that actually happen that way?
Yeah. I'm like, did I invent that memory? Like, what?
But that's what got us started.
Yeah.
Was that fact checking and then like checking in and
So yeah, like, I don't know, having each other, and then because we've never been like, oh, that makes me feel weird, I don't want to like talk about that.
No, it's like it feels weird. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about it.
Why does that feel weird?
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, am I the only one who's ever felt that feeling in the world?
Yeah.
Oh, no? Cool. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's get into it.
So is the idea behind the group therapy like slow guidance to meta thinking? Is that what they're kind of trying to get to?
Because it's not like cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like cognitive processing therapy.
Yeah.
And so I think it is really based in that metacognition.
Right.
And that seems to be the way that things are going, is like that metacognition. But like right now it's all about that like guilt and that blame and that like.
Yeah. Well, let's imagine that there is an event that caused our EDS. Mm-hmm. I think both of us would probably feel that we were to blame for it. We'd find a way to mentally be like, oh, it's our fault.
Right.
Like, I did something to deserve this, or
maybe.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like we would internalize it towards ourselves. Yeah. More than being like, oh, well, you know.
Right. Like, yeah, we've never been like, let's point fingers.
Right.
I guess. Well, and I can kind of conceptualize that, because that car accident that I was in with Will, that was huge and messy and awful and like traumatized me for a good while. Yeah. Where I would have like panic attacks in cars, no matter what was happening. Or if there was like gravel or it felt like gravel or a dirt road, that would freak me out, and I would go right back into it. But even then, like, I don't think I was like, I didn't blame the driver.
Right.
I was like, that was a shitty thing that happened. I was mad at him because he didn't remember.
Yeah.
And there was no one for me to talk it through with.
Right. There's a whole other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to pick at it by myself, and that's less productive, I think.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, that was a trauma thing. I need to talk about it. I need to like work through it.
Absolutely.
Verbally.
Yeah.
And because he didn't remember, there was nobody to like work through it with.
Yeah, like.
So I was pissed at him. But I don't think I was ever like, this is your fault.
Right.
That was never.
Well, and you didn't need it to be.
Right. It was just, it happened.
Yeah.
It was a thing and it happened. But I also find that I think we're more based in the present now.
Now, yes.
Like we spend a lot more time present. And like, I don't know, just more connected maybe?
Yeah. It's all through therapy too, I think.
Yeah.
Like our conversations and then going over the like therapy together. And,
right.
Like we're at a place where we can do this.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I don't think you needed this lesson exactly.
Right.
But
it's fascinating to look at and see. Well, and what I really like to see is like all the things that we've done organically.
Exactly. Like
reflected in what they're teaching.
That was my favorite part about listening was like when they got to that and we're like, oh, we talked about that exact thing like a couple weeks ago and came to the same conclusion.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, it's so bizarre. And it is. It really is that whole, like, if it's no one's fault, then what kind of world is it where things can just happen?
Right. That's scary to some people.
Yeah. And then she was talking about how, I don't remember what she called it, but she was talking about the just something, where it's a fallacy of thinking where we think that like good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. So if bad things happen to you, you must be bad.
Right.
So it's like a just person fallacy or something like that. But again, like we had trauma so young that we grew up knowing that the world was a shitty place. We're like, this is a horrible place where horrible things happen sometimes. There's some good stuff here too. So yeah. But it's just, I don't know. What was group therapy like? Like, did you guys tackle any of these ideas through group, or?
It was
because it wasn't PTSD related as much. It was mostly just pain. Part,
it was a lot of grounding and showing people how their emotions can affect their pain and the relationship you have with it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it also was what we were going through at the time. So like if somebody had this issue, it'd be we would kind of riff on that and be like, "That's
what I want."
Yeah, like, I loved my group therapy.
I really want to get into that, like. Because this is so PTSD based also, they're very careful about like, let's not be detailed about anything at all. Like, be careful. So at one point I just was like, oh, it was in that same opening when I was like, why am I in pain? Because I was born. Why do I have trauma? Because I was raised by a narcissist. Right. Like, that wasn't my fault that I was raised by a narcissist. But I don't remember where I was going with that. Sorry.
She just wanted to say it.
Maybe. But I just found it so interesting that, people just need that reason. And we're like, no, the world is kind of terrible. Well, what I want to do is like, I want to dig deeper. I want to have conversations.
That's what I liked about our group is that we say that we had that same lady in our group.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I'm cursed. I deserve this. Then everyone would have had like a discussion about it. Like,
see, and that's what I want. Yeah. I want to get into that. I want to be able to like have people question each other's thinking rather than be kind of like hold your hand and guide you through it.
Right.
Right. But I think that it's also a different kind of group because some of these people aren't ready.
Yeah.
What was the other example where she was like, is that not the correct response?
Oh, it was the guy blaming the government. He was a military.
Oh, yeah.
He joined the army. He got injured, and he blamed the government. Uh-huh. And the lady question it. She's like, isn't that the correct thought? Like, I would blame them too.
Right.
Like, but he made the decision. Like,
right. Well, and they broke it down even further than that. So
Yeah.
we like way backtrack, because when I hear like in the military, got injured.
Right.
You're like, dude, bro, you joined the military. You made a choice.
Yeah.
Like, you knew danger was like a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they bring it even farther forward and they're like, oh, okay, so no one could have known that
Yes.
that one thing would happen, that
Mm-hmm.
isolated incident. So they isolate things even further.
Yeah.
Whereas I tend to contextualize
Yep.
more.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing.
I think it's more neutral. It's just the way you view it.
Yeah. Like everything's in context for me.
Yeah. Well, it's like you say, when you have all the information, decisions make themselves.
Yes.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like,
Right.
you look at the situation.
Yeah. Like I'm an observer of my life, right? Like, there doesn't need to be a story or an extra story.
Right.
If I'm paying attention to the way it's playing out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I can go with my gut on things and be like, it's very tempting for me because I do understand people really well.
Mm.
And that can get really frustrating because it gets tempting to be like, oh, I know.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
gonna happen.
I had that problem in
Or
my 20s.
I know.
My early
I know.
20s
Yeah.
was like, I know exactly what's going to happen.
Or
And
I knew it, or these
Yeah.
people are all the same, and I've seen this pattern 100 billion times
God,
before.
I hated early 20s me. Fucking grow up, man.
Right? Where you're like, no, that's not how this works at all.
Yeah, bro.
No. But that's kind of where my pitfall is.
Right.
Is to be really tempted to be like, God, see exactly this. I knew this was going to happen.
Right.
And you're like, no, you didn't. You knew it was a possibility.
Right.
But no, you didn't know this was going to happen. You didn't know how it was going to play out. You didn't know how that person was going to react. You don't know what that person is thinking. Because
Right.
it's really tempting to be like, well, I know that they don't like me. Or like, I know that they feel this way about me. Or they think these ways about me. Or they don't believe me. That's the big
I feel
one.
super called out right now. She's just
It's not called out. It's relatable. Calm down.
This is such relatable content.
Watch me verbally abuse my brother for a while.
Backhanded comments, just like
meant to
some
be.
people. He's just side eye
It's
me the whole time.
definitely me. I'm that person. But it is. It's very fascinating to be like, people need there to be a fault or a reason or somebody to blame, because I think part of it is avoidance of taking responsibility.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's where they were getting to this.
Yeah.
That you are responsible for yourself.
Yes.
I don't know
Right.
that they got there,
No, I don't think so.
but that's I think the direction that it's heading.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better, because this is like, it couldn't have been predicted at all, and it's just
Right.
a like chance thing that's sprinkled into the world. And I mean, there is a lot of that. You couldn't have known that at that particular stoplight, that guy was
Right.
gonna blow through and take you out. Like,
Yeah.
those things happen because that's how the world is. Should? No. Is? Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I think maybe there is a piece that they're getting into for the responsibility. Because, and I'll walk you guys through this real quick before we like move on. So the levels of responsibility start with like fault blameworthiness, right?
Yeah.
And that is attached to intended harm or an intended outcome.
Okay.
So you are at fault, or you are to blame, if you did something with the intent of hurting somebody or an intended negative outcome.
Yes.
And then what you feel there is guilt. Guilt comes from, I did bad.
Yeah.
Then it comes up to like responsibility. So you played a role in what happened, but you didn't intend harm or intend the outcome. Then that would be regret. And this is where I was like, where does remorse live? Because I feel like regret is like, I'm sad that happened, but remorse is like, I'm
I intended the thing, but now I feel bad about the thing, kind of. But
right. Like remorsefulness is like, I don't know.
It does. It fits between guilt and regret, I think.
So that's kind of where that lives. Between guilt and regret is where remorse is. And then the last one is the unforeseeable. So there was no way to predict that it would happen. And then that comes to the feelings of grief and sadness.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of like, they talked about like survivor's guilt, basically. It was like, yeah, you didn't intend it. There was no way to predict it. You can grieve for it and feel sad.
Yeah.
But you can't regret it and you can't feel guilty. Like your feelings of guilt are not well placed.
Right.
I guess. And then for me, because again, my like awakening in life was differentiating guilt and shame. I really had to ask. I was like, what? Can we define that, please? And so guilt is I did bad and shame is I am bad.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that lady lives a lot is I am bad. And that's why these bad things are happening to me.
Man, I feel so bad for her.
Yeah. It's just hard because you're like, buddy, you got to get out of your head a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. A lot of it for me is that we're not special. You are not special. You are not the villain because nobody is the villain.
Right.
Like it doesn't work that way. People try their best to be their best or like they follow their own motives and we can't be responsible for what other people do or the outcomes thereof.
Total side note.
Yes.
But before we go to break, because break has to happen soon.
Yes, agreed.
Have you ever seen Donnie Darko?
Bits.
Okay, so there's a scene where they're talking about this like life activity, this like how do you structure things, like if you steal something, where did that emotion come from? So, and it's like there's fear and then there's love.
Okay.
And going through this kind of reminded me of that. Because there's some like outliers, right?
Yeah.
In the movie, Donnie Darko freaks out. Is like, there's gray area. You can't break everything down to fear or love. Like, if she steals something, she's not afraid. He has this whole fucking tirade about it, and it reminded me of that.
That's kind of fascinating, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a fascinating concept.
It's total bullshit, but.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it in context of like. Hierarchy of needs.
Oh yeah, well of course you are.
Because sped.
I was gonna say sped brain is now active.
I was like, aha!
I've activated her trap card.
Hierarchy of needs. Dang it! Great, wonderful. So this is just kind of where we are in life, and kind of. It's so interesting.
I think it's worth sharing for sure.
For sure, and it's a fascinating conversation. So if you have thoughts on this, I would love to read them. You can throw them in the Discord or you can drop a comment.
Yeah, if you want, share a stuck point too.
Yes.
I found mine. I found a couple of mine and we put them on.
Do you want to define like what one of yours is? So we can give an example.
What was mine? Mine was if I'm getting attention, I'm taking it away from everyone else.
Yep.
So being the center of attention detracts from everyone else around me.
Right. Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Or like you're depriving others.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, like I can't trust other people to meet my needs. I have trust issues. Hi, I'm a runaway. There you go. I have trust issues. Wow. Breakthrough.
But they're nice. Once you've identified it, it's something you could think on and notice when it comes up again. Right.
Well, and it's so much easier to catch your self-talk and be like, it's so weird because even when I was in crisis yesterday, and I wasn't like in crisis, but feeling down, the stuck point would like kind of creep up and then the brain was like, I mean, you could try, but that's not it. It was so bizarre to be cool. Like, I could feel that way, but it's not it.
Yeah.
Like you learn to tell yourself like, okay, stop it. That's not true at all.
Yeah.
And you're being a little dramatic. Calm down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny when your brain can do that to itself. It's a bizarre feeling.
Yeah.
All right. Break time. Yes?
Yeah.
Cool. What do they need to do?
Drink some water.
Yes.
Hydrate. It's important. Have a snack.
You are a snack.
Ah, there it is.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah. Take your meds if you forgot, or take a break if you're working on something.
Yeah.
You got to treat yourself.
Even just like a short break.
Yeah.
Like, go get some water and stretch and see some sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
Yes. It's actually nice and warm today. So we're going to go outside and be like, sun, and then burn. It'll be great fun. So, yeah. I think that's it. I think you covered it.
Yeah.
You took all the things. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. All right, my friends. We will see you in just a moment. Bye-bye. Fantastic Pains now has merch. I know we've been promising it for a while, but it is here. You can find our stuff at fantastic-pains.creator-spring.com. We have t-shirts, hoodies, leggings, wine coolers, I guess you can call them, and my very favorite backpack. So take a minute, go check us out.
Welcome back. How was your break?
Did you do the things?
Hopefully.
We did some things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went outside, talked.
Sunlight. It was good stuff.
Hydrated. Even though, like, during the podcast, I've already had, like, a whole water bottle and then this. And then all of the...
you were thirsty.
I was very thirsty.
I am a failure.
Oh, womp womp. She's presenting her almost full water. Or Gatorade.
Yes, it is.
Magic Gatorade.
Yeah.
All right, what are we going to...
sip on this right
what are we going to be talking about?
Kind of continuing what we were talking about before, but through the lens of, like, chronic illness and dealing with other people's behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding ways to not take them personally or attribute their behavior to yourself.
Right.
Because, and you said something interesting. You said that having a chronic illness.
Oh, yeah, it makes you seem, or it makes you egocentric.
Yeah, in a way.
You're very much about yourself.
Yes.
You're aware of yourself. And then you project onto everyone else.
Yes. So I think part of that is that, like, it's like a misdirected, unchecked self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because you have to be, right? You have to be aware of your body, whether or not, because some people avoid pain, right? Like, you're like, oh, if I do this, it hurts. I'm going to not do that. And so you have to be very hyper aware of not doing that. Mm-hmm. But if you're us, we're like, oh, that hurts. Oh, well.
Right.
Whatever.
Also, real quick, meet Fen, our newest mallow in our mallow collection.
I found him yesterday at Target, and I was like, oh, my God.
He's
tail.
He's a fox mallow. He's got a tail.
Yes.
And he's cloud-colored for people who can't see.
Yes.
So.
And also, for some... I want to say for some reason, but we know the reason. We're psychically linked somehow. We had the same name in mind for this little friend.
I don't know why, but I looked at this and I was like, Fen.
Because I was like, Fennec Fox, Fenrir Wolf, Fen.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Fen, I'm going to send you to the dark shadow realm.
Yes, goodbye. Oof. He was reflecting too much light.
Yeah, he was just so bright.
Removing it from us.
Anyway.
We need the light. Because otherwise you'd see how ugly we are.
Men love pterodactyls.
Men hate nostrils.
So, anyway.
Yes. So kind of, and I think it is, I think it's important to talk about these things, but without judgment, and get used to talking about them without judgment.
Right.
Because when you say egocentric, that has, like, it carries the weight of judgment, right? Like, that is inherently bad.
Right. Well, when the thought hit me, I was like, ooh, that's going to sound mean.
Right.
But I don't mean it in a mean way. It's not, it's just.
It's not a judgment. It
right.
just is a way of kind of explaining that we have that weird self-awareness. Mm-hmm. And whether we're using it to protect, guess what, friends? It's time for me to take my meds.
It's 3:00.
But yeah, like using it as a way to talk about just the idea that we are very self-aware and we have sometimes really demanding needs.
Yeah.
And then we have to be egocentric in order to get those needs met appropriately.
Yes. Yeah, that was my thought. I was thinking about it because we were talking, what was it we were talking about? Responsibility. Mm-hmm. And then...
Q-tip. which is one of my favorite principles for this is the one that I preach a lot when I'm working with kids with behavioral problems, where Q-tip stands for quit taking it personally.
Yeah.
Because 9 out of 10 times it's not about you. That explosion over a piece of gum was not about you.
Right. There was a lot of other stuff. Did they destroy
your room? Yes. Was it about you? No. Don't take it personally.
And with that, I think a lot of our relationships are kind of through a filter of what you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have certain people that you have requirements, I guess.
Right. Well, and I think it kind of falls between these two areas of, like, one is defensiveness, right? Having to, like, feel vindicated in your illness.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely understand, because pre-diagnosis, it was like...
Oh, yeah. We're chronically...
You knew no one believed you.
Trying to prove it to everybody all the time.
Yes.
Even if they said they believed you, you still felt like they didn't, and you'd have to still continue to prove it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And sometimes to your detriment, where you're like, I'll just dislocate right in front of you so that you can see that this is a real thing.
Yeah.
But then on the other side is that, like, I don't know, I want to say, like, self-centeredness.
Okay.
And without judgment,
Right. Through the lens of non-judgment.
Come back to kind of what was happening in that group, that self-centeredness of, like, other people's behavior must be about me.
Right.
It must be about me, because it's this idea of, like, burdensome, right? So if you are feeling like a burden, all of your life is seen through the lens of feeling burdensome.
Right.
And so you have that really narrow view of things where it's almost like we forget that other people are that complex, right?
Yeah.
You forget that they don't just exist when you see them and that there are other factors in their lives as well. And I really do think that, like, 99% of the time, behavior that we see in other people, especially behavior that we would like to condemn, is not based in just that interaction.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a lot to it. But I think there's, to bring it back to that, like, responsibility piece, like, how do you balance that? How do you get your needs met, let yourself feel what you need to feel, and then still take responsibility for your stuff?
God, that's a good question. Because it really is. You don't want to err too much on either side.
Right.
You want to maintain relationships.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need something from that relationship.
Right.
That's weird to think about too.
Yeah. Isn't that just...
I've never really framed it that way, but I'm thinking about, like, my relationship with Jen. There are things that I need from her that I do kind of self-centeredly expect at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we forget something, initially I would take it personally, but I instantly would rethink that.
Right. Because now we can, like, identify those things.
Right. Be like,
and that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Right.
Because, like, you're like, oh, well, that was inconsiderate of you.
Right.
When there's other stuff going on and it's not about you. Like, they didn't go to the grocery store and forget that one thing you asked for.
Exactly.
Because they hate you.
It was a slight against me.
Right.
I'll mark this down forever.
You left out the toilet paper. You must want a divorce now.
You can't control our relationship by guarding the TP. You will share it.
Locked in a safe.
Oh, my God.
You're like, this is my TP. I'm drawing a line in the sand. I don't know what's happening anymore. Put a light in the cloud.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so... Because from the lens of, like, feeling like a burden, it's so hard because we get prickly.
Yeah, even thinking about it right now, like, without judgment, you have to accept that there are, like, self-centered aspects that are there.
Right.
And it's not, like, a bad thing.
Yeah. And, I mean, you may be angry at being ill, and that is... Not only is it valid, but it's not uncommon.
Right.
But that anger can be misdirected.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Misdirected and punching the mic. And and can like flood our other relationships and really negatively impact those relationships.
Snowballs.
And then we get into this like endless cycle of they hate me, therefore I'm going to be passive aggressive. And then people are like, you're passive aggressive, I don't want to be around you. And so they avoid you and they avoid you. And so therefore they hate you. And it just is this like loop of self-made, like self-fulfilling prophecy almost.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm trying to figure out how to balance that though.
Yeah.
Because that's I think we've come to a balance, both of us in our relationships, at least with like our significant others.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we've both been with our SOs for a long time.
Yeah. It'll be 13 years.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah. Whew. It's been a minute.
Like there have to have been rough patches.
Yes.
Right. Like where there was no communication, like it was breaking down over something that wasn't being addressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of a good example because I feel like I think I have an example that's perfect for this, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about like pre-diagnosis with the stomach issues. That was one that I felt that I had to prove again and again and again because like anorexia had been thrown into the pot.
Right.
And like it didn't fit. It wasn't me. Like that wasn't what I was doing.
Right.
But I felt like other people were reading it as manipulation.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like yeah.
And so in order to avoid that, I hit a point where I was like, and there's two ways that I kind of go on this. It's either like, oh, okay, I have no needs. I will just
that one. That's
be.
Yeah. Well, that's,
and then I'm bitter because no one's fulfilling my needs that I don't have.
Well, there's the ego right there. So
yeah.
Now I'm hurt, and it's you're internalizing everything.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Right. Well, and yeah, it kind of does come to that like shutting down piece. So it's either like we persist and we learn how to communicate through persistence, or we shut down and then other people don't understand your bitterness.
Right.
And then again, we're back to that like avoidance cycle.
Yeah.
And it's hard because we're like, when you're hurting, you're not trying to be prickly.
No.
You're hurting and you want someone to like see the hurt. But when other people, all they see is like, okay, you are like porcupine mode.
Right.
Can't get close to you.
I have that problem with the kids because I want them to see everything. Like, I don't try and hide it.
Right.
I want them to know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
But I also get really upset sometimes. Like last night even, I was having a really my hip went out.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even realize it. I was sitting in the chair for so long, my hip was out. I stood up, it popped. And I thought it went into place. So I was like, okay, that hurt. And then I jumped into bed. And then it popped again. Like I hit the mattress hard and it popped into place. And then it was just Painville all night, right?
Ow.
They kept coming in because they wanted the VR.
Yeah.
And like the computer was free. And I just lost it. I was like, guys, it's my computer. You need to stop asking about the VR. I'm really sick of this. And like I just whole tirade. And then halfway through, I was able to calm down and be like,
right.
Rationally explain it. But I needed space and I wasn't getting it.
Right. And it's hard to
being in pain and trying to get your shit done.
Yeah, the need for space is such a hard one to communicate because it does come back to that like, don't look at me but also hold me.
Right.
Like, and half the time, and this I think is important because not a lot of people understand if you've ever been in labor, I'm sure you understand because that's what I've been told it equates to. Knowing you need something, but not knowing what it is, or like not knowing how you feel about something until it's happening, and then having these like explosive reactions to things.
Right.
Where you're like, I'm wearing a sweater and I really don't want to be wearing a sweater anymore.
Yeah.
Or someone's like, can I rub your back? And they touch you and you want to explode.
Right.
That one's so hard because at that point, like, you just need some space.
Yeah.
So like, let me figure out what I need for a minute.
What I think is funny is we started off talking about how we could interact with people when they're being prickly, but in turn we're talking about how we react when we're like, I like how we ended up on the self side of it.
It does. It helps to not take it from a judgmental perspective.
Totally.
And be able to be introspective instead of
Well, it's weird. Take a second and be like, I'm self-centered. Does that make you feel good?
Right.
No. It just
no. Right?
I'm being really egocentric.
Yep.
Hurts.
Yep.
But it is a part of the experience of being in pain. And
right. Well, and especially because, like, pain strips you. Like, there's something about...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like when you bite your fingernails too far.
I did that earlier in the podcast.
Everything you touch is...
No joke.
Good job.
Yeah.
Find the quick. But, like, and then everything you touch hurts, right?
Yes.
And then it's irritating and, like...
Good example.
And it's hard for other people to understand that.
Yeah.
Because they don't see the, like, thought process or the build up to that moment.
Right.
They just see the, like, explosiveness of that moment.
I feel like that's what was happening to that lady. The lady who was... I don't remember what she said, but she was talking...
Yeah, it was something to do with her family.
Her family. And she feels like they're coming at her a certain way.
Yes.
But it seems to me that she has a lot going on internally, and she's only seeing their reaction to her.
Yes.
And taking it personally.
Right.
Even though it's probably just a matter of her needing to get something out in the open or expressing that she's in this kind of pain and needs this. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, and it's this, like, we only get to glimpse each other's lives through this very short window, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you can only see a certain amount through that window. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more outside than what you see through the window, right? So, again, it comes back to that, like, learning to communicate explicitly, but also, because when we communicate explicitly, right, we're trying to communicate, like, a need or a feeling, which is, in essence, it is a, like, egocentric tool.
Yeah.
Right? But then after we communicate, if we're not met with the, like, appropriate reactions, we have to be able to remember that they also are experiencing this egocentric moment.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, it's so interesting. Like, things I used to get angry about, now I can't. Like,
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, little things that would have bothered me in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Let's say I needed, like, to do something, or I needed a meds, like if I needed sleep meds, and I didn't know where they were and Jen knew, and I asked, and it didn't happen right away.
Right. I was like, okay, hang on. Me. And like, you're like, I'm not important enough for you to, like, yes.
But that's totally not at all what's happening. But
right.
At that age, that's how I would have interpreted certain things.
Well, and now I think we're getting better at communicating before it becomes that moment of, like, desperation.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because we're not good communicators at the end of our line. Mm-hmm. We've got to be able to communicate before we get there.
Right.
Because once we get there, it's, like, anger and bitterness and desperation and frustration.
And usually pain on board.
Exhaustion and pain. And you've got this bucket of prickly feelings that come out in prickly ways.
I think one of the keys to it too is if let's say you're dealing with somebody who's in their own stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But you're in the middle of yours. Yeah. You have to learn how to meter yourself out.
Yes. Out
of your situation and be able to help somebody with theirs.
Right. Right. Well, that was my experience with a few people over the weekend, Friday?
Yeah.
I think Saturday. I don't even remember what day it was. No, Saturday's today. Wow. It would have been Thursday, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because I had worked and then all of that happened. But having to look at somebody and be like, okay, I get that you are uncomfortable and you are in pain and you're dealing with your own stuff. But you also need to understand that, like, people's behavior is not the intent you're reading. Mm-hmm. Because at some point, like, and I was guilty of being a little insensitive. I didn't pick up on how uncomfortable this person was, and I was kind of ribbing them. Because I was like, okay, you look, like, ticked off. Let me try to bring it back to levity by making jokes. And then, in turn, that joke was taken as, like, making fun of or like mocking.
Mocking, yeah.
It was taken as being mocking.
I say that like it was me. It wasn't me.
Well, but yeah. You understood. Like, but that's how they read it, right? And I was like, that's not at all how that was meant to be. But then you have to like pull yourself out of yourself and be like, oh, okay, wow, I jumped to a lot of conclusions right there. But also, again, like metering, how do you go about, and this is where it gets sticky, is like, how do you prioritize your needs versus other people's needs?
I do the unhealthy thing.
Exactly. Because I was going to say, in turn, we just go, I don't have needs.
Exactly.
What needs?
That's when you turn it off.
Ta-da!
And it's all about other people and how to help them. And I do that every time. I will always go that way.
And we are remarkable at it.
Yeah.
We are extremely good at like crisis management. But we are like, oh, nope, there are no needs. What are you talking about? Like, I can't be let down if I don't have needs for people to meet.
Right.
Like, or if I preemptively try to meet all of my needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
But then you're neglecting yourself.
Yes. And then you wind up closer to that, like, bursting point.
Yeah, you come back. Well, it comes back around. Then when you have a second to yourself, no one acknowledged you.
Right.
So then you're feeling you're back to your ego.
Yes. Well, and it comes down to like masking and unmasking.
Yeah.
Right. Like, wow. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That just occurred to me, is that like when you shut it off and you're like, I have no needs, you're masking, but you're not only masking for that person, you're masking yourself.
Oh, totally.
Right. And then all of a sudden you take it off and you remember that you have all these unmet needs. And then you're like, nobody is meeting my needs that are clearly apparent right this second, but we're not until right now.
And it's all internal. Like, you're just sitting there watching TV and all of a sudden you've opened the floodgates and how has no one noticed that I'm now suffering? Where is it? Somebody notice me. And you're just sitting there watching TV.
Yep.
I was like, getting pissed
if
for no
I
reason.
blink slow enough, maybe they'll pick up on it. I don't know.
The pain pheromones. I've released them, I swear. Smell my pain.
Smell my pain. No. I shall not.
Well, I mean, I'm in pain right now, so...
My pain smells better. I don't know. This is weird. I don't know how this happened. Stop it.
Pheromones.
Pheromones.
It's tricky.
Can't be controlled.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely this like... It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
While on fire.
When everyone else is just walking.
Right.
Yeah, because you always have it.
Yeah.
That's the problem I think that I have, is that I mask too much.
Well, and I mask so much that I don't realize I'm masking anymore.
Right. That's what it like.
Yeah. And that's part of like what I'm trying to achieve through therapy, is being able to identify needs.
Yeah.
And then
being more egocentric.
Be able to...
You got to be more self-centered.
Be a little more self-centered, but like socially aware.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm good at the socially aware part, but if I'm egocentric, then it's all ego.
Right.
There's no like middle ground.
Right. You have to figure out how to
So
integrate
I'm like,
the two.
I'm fine. I'm going to die right this second.
Sid and Olivia. That was totally just... I'm fine. I am on fire.
Deep in the shadows of my brain, it is raining garbage. I curl up on the street.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then you get so sucked into your own mask that it's hard to
That's
recognize.
The scary part, when you're masking yourself.
Yes.
And then you realize you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Because you're like, no one can hurt me if I just wear this all the time.
There's no downside, right?
Right? No.
Just forget my needs.
What needs?
Blah, blah, my needs.
Blah, blah, my needs. Yeah. But then it's like, you attribute that to other people. And you're like, nobody cares about me.
Right, exactly.
When in reality, we're like, stop trying to care about me. Go over there and stand in the corner.
Show me you love me by doing exactly what I say right now. Go in the corner and ignore me. But keep one eye on me. But if I see you looking at me, you lose.
Also, I need a hug.
But don't touch me. That's what it feels like sometimes. Like,
but why are you avoiding me?
It's so weird when you need affection or reassurance and you don't know how to get it the right way.
Right. Or in a way that like feels fulfilling.
Yeah.
Because I think we all fall into this trap of like, if other people don't offer me affection like spontaneously, then they don't love you.
Right.
When in reality, love requested, I think, is just as valid as love initiated, right?
Yeah, it's nice to be surprised sometimes, but at the same time, asking for it and getting it is still...
Yes.
Still
because you're like,
valid.
oh, if I have to ask for it, it doesn't count. And you're like, but why?
That's silly.
Did you get a hug?
Right?
There you go. Nobody died. You had a hug. It's fine.
It was a good hug. Perfectly good hug.
It was a good hug. But then we can fall into that like, oh, I got a hug, but now I'm a burden because I made them hug me and they hate me.
It's so easy to fall into it.
Yes.
It really is like walking a tightrope all the time. All the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've talked about before where it's like addiction almost, right? It's like you want to fall back into those old ways of thinking that, and here's the thing, usually these fallacies in thinking come about as survival mechanisms from trauma.
Right.
And we don't give ourselves credit for that portion where we're like, yeah, we adapted all these tools that have served us well up until this point because they've kept us like safe and alive and okay. But now we are safe and we don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Because feeling safe can feel unsafe.
Right.
Right? Like it's you're unsure because it's uncharted territory at that point. So when you've come through trauma, it's hard to, like, you can heal, right? Like, but it's also hard to acknowledge that maybe you're not in that same kind of danger.
Yeah.
That your brain and your body would like to think you are.
Well, yeah, like talking about PTSD stuff.
Yeah.
That I didn't address until I hit 30. Like, that was really hard to, like, bring it up. And like, I was in a perfectly safe space when I talked about it. Like, everything was good. It just felt really hard to do. It was like, I'm going to do this thing now and be completely open and vulnerable. And it's safe, but I don't trust it.
Right.
Like, you're on edge. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to get a little closer to it.
And now we, like, weaponize our truth. Where we're like, hey, here's my whole life story. You're welcome.
What do you want to know?
Do you hate me?
One time I ran through a restaurant and tried to jump over a marble bench, and I missed it and hit my head on the marble bench. I tried to Superman dive, so I was like, my face was messed up.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
The secret no one knows. Now everybody knows.
Now everybody knows.
There you go.
One time at band camp. I never went to band camp.
Like the people.
No. Yeah. But it is. Now we're like, hello. I'm going to be super open so that you can decide right now and I don't have to worry about what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But again, it's not our fucking business what they're thinking.
That's true. That's very true. We don't have to be privy to other people's thoughts.
Right.
We should stop assuming other people's thoughts.
Exactly.
Too.
Well, and that's where I get stuck. Because I've talked in the past about how I will like be really intentional about sharing bits and pieces along the way to try to like curb the weirdness. And part of it is like self-protection because it's really awkward to have to be like, yes, I'm a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you didn't notice until just now. We've only worked together for 12 years.
I'm just now telling you. But.
Right? So now it's like, I'll just leave like breadcrumbs along the way.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to control the narrative about myself. When there probably isn't one.
Right. No.
But there is no narrative about
You're reading
me.
into their head and you're putting in what you think their version of you is, which you'll never know. There's no way to ever know.
Right.
Oh, God, that's so complicated.
Right?
How many meta steps there are in there. Like, I'm assuming what you think of me, and you're not thinking good things. Yeah. Because I told you the wrong things.
Where he's like, the board, and it's like all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes. That.
Well, we could just let it go.
Right.
And be like, they treat me nice.
Right. Let other people be other people, and we will be us, and There you go. Mm-hmm. But it's not easy. Mm-mm. And we're not experts. We are not morticians.
Nope. Not even remotely.
Not even remote mortician?
I knew I was going to go there. It's like, so what, we could do it over the internet? We doing this thing?
I'm a certified remote mortician.
Hi, my name's Chris. I'm your remote mortician. I will guide you through the embalming process.
DIY funeral.
Oh my God.
No. Okay.
She's at a point.
Wow. Oh no. Yeah. But yeah, no, it is tangled.
Yeah.
There is no like straight path through it all.
Not really.
No.
A lot of trust.
Yeah. That thing that we struggle with.
Yeah. A lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, and being able to like surrender control. Mm-hmm. And that I think is hard because that's part of what makes us good in crisis, right? Yeah. Like we're good at like assuming control and dealing with those things.
I wonder if this is like a total tangent. It has nothing to do with this really. But I wonder if control is part of blame. Like if that's where she's coming from. If like blaming it gives her a sense of control.
Probably.
Like it's my fault. I deserve this, or I'm, or so-and-so did this to me, but now they're in control of the situation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it probably comes back to that same thing we've talked about with like trying not to be victimized.
Oh, yeah.
Or admit that we were victimized.
Still.
Or going completely the far left of that and going like, I am the victim of everything forever. Because that is its own kind of like control, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's complicated. That sounds complicated.
I'm just wondering if like it gets worse too as we go. Like as we develop more problems and things get dirtier, like we're gonna have to depend on more people, right? Mm-hmm. More on people, not more people, but and then you're thinking more about yourself again.
I have a really big problem with like not feeling like I'm pulling my weight.
Oh yeah,
that's a big one for me.
Same.
Like feeling like I'm slacking or I'm putting too much on the other person. Mm-hmm. That really bothers me. And that bothers me like in all fields of my life. Like I hate it within my marriage and my friendships and even at work. Like if I take a day off, I feel awful because I'm like, oh, that means that all the things that I would be doing, other people now have to like pick up.
Yeah. But
yeah, people aren't thinking about you as much as you'd like to think they are.
That's true.
They really aren't. Like, the things we obsess over, people have long forgotten or barely noticed.
Right. That is how it be.
Right. It's a strange thing. I wish we'd come to, like, I don't think there is, like, an overarching fix or solve or point.
No. This is just exploration.
Yeah. It's just being more cognizant of the way we're thinking and the way we're, I don't know, like interacting with social cues.
Yeah.
Because we can take them one way or we could take them the other, but I don't know. With the hill I will die on forever, rawr. With explicit communication, that it takes so much of the burden off because then you can go, I'm going to take what you said at face value.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a way, you have to train the people around you to be like, take what I say at face value, and I'm going to take what you say at face value.
Yeah.
So do not hint at me, because if you say, no, it's fine, I'm going to go, okay, it's fine.
Right. Exactly.
The end. We're not going to play mind games.
Yeah.
Because it's exhausting.
True.
And being chronically ill means that you have to measure your energy differently. Mm-hmm. And emotional energy is still spoons.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's a point we can really get to here.
Yeah.
Because I think what's happening is they're building something here.
Yes.
And then
we'll have to see what it comes to.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll have another session and we'll be able to talk about that.
In 2 weeks, man.
Well, next week we're gonna have guests.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Returning guests. And a new guest.
Favorite. Yes.
That's gonna be exciting.
Yes.
So look forward to that. Cool.
I'm excited. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to say a happy Pride Month.
Oh yeah, happy Pride Month.
Because it is. It's Pride June.
Do you remember Pride Month?
Pride Month.
Yep, last year.
Pride Month.
We had Pride Month.
Pride Month. It's like bismuth.
Yeah, exactly. It's one word. Pride Month.
Pride Month. There you go.
You taking some of that Pride Month? Yeah. I'm taking my Pride Month. Anyway.
Yes. Wow. I think it's time to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming along. I hope we, I don't know, explored something. I don't
Join
know.
the conversation.
Yeah.
I like getting input on what we have to say. So.
Right. Many voices.
Yeah.
In all areas.
Comments or Discord.
Yes. Or both. Both is good.
Yeah, why not both?
¿Por qué no los dos? There you go.
All right.
All right, my friends. Be kind to you. Be kind to others. Take care, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.